7:27.
3 minutes. We'll get some water.
Hey, Mark. How are you? I'm good, thanks.
Oh, actually, that's.
One of the best days that you issues with. Come over here on.
Next, 3 hours. Yeah. Tell me when we're ready. We're ready? Ready? Okay. It is 7:30. I'll call the meeting to order. Take a roll.
Blake.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Coons.
Here.
Rudolph. Here.
Okay, Steve Lakovic, our chair, is not here. I guess, does anyone want to make a motion to appoint somebody chair, acting chair?
I move to appoint you. I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Porter, seconded by Budoff. Roll call?
Jane, Flake.
Yes.
Porter.
Yes.
Coons.
Yes.
Rudolph. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for that, I think. Okay, first on the agenda is approval of 2 sets of minutes from the public hearing and then the subsequent planning commission meeting, which were both held on May 11th, 2023. Any corrections or comments on those?
So move, approve
Both sets?
both sets, I'm good.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Porter. Roll call?
Blake.
Yes.
Porter.
Yes.
Coons.
Yes.
Rudolph. Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have one item on the agenda. It's PC case number 23-05. And this is for 516 East Washington Street, Jackson Gray Jewelers. And who's going to speak on that?
Hi,
Okay, if you could just introduce yourself.
my name is Chad Bierhoff. I'm the owner of Jackson Gray Jewelers.
Okay, we have your application, but if you want to go ahead and just kind of explain what this is about and
Sure.
what you'd like us to consider.
First of all, thank you for accepting my application and having me here tonight. I am a metalsmith jeweler of 36 years. I've owned Jackson Gray Jewelers in South Russell for 9 years in November. A year ago, we acquired a machine, which is a laser engraving machine. allows us to engrave multitude of different items such as signet rings, wedding bands. Gosh, we use it for multiple things, especially with other stores that are closing, like Things Remembered. So now we do flasks and, baby cups and baby spoons and a plethora of items like that. One of the items that is a big selling item and useful project with this type of machine is firearm engraving. And so when I acquired the item, the laser, in speaking with the manufacturer, basically said, hey, what you need to do to make sure that everything is pretty transparent is obtain an FFL license, which is a federal firearms license. So trying to understand all the different variations of it. The one that is in the application is primarily for manufacturing, is how they have to label it. I'm not a gunsmith, but it goes in that category of gunsmithing. So what it does is it allows me to not only just engrave on the firearm, but I guess there's little segments of it. I guess legally, through the ATF and through with the police department, I currently can engrave on a slide of a pistol. But when a client brings in, let's say, a shotgun or a lever action rifle where it can't be totally disassembled, I can still engrave on it. But the problem is when I hold on to a firearm overnight. That's kind of where there's, some legalities. So by having this license, I'll be able to design and have a little extended time. Normally, the lasering process on some projects can take 3 to 5 hours of cut time on a laser. So it's not something that we can just expedite throughout an 8-hour day. The design time alone can take a couple days, where you'll have to take photographs of the area that you're going to be engraving and go on the computer and design it and things of that sort and get all the planning put together. So it's an involved process. So for us, we just figured let's dot our I's and cross our T's and do things very transparently, which is why I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Chad, in this day and age, seeing a guy who walks through the front door with a shotgun, do you slide him in the side door, or is that, that?
It's definitely a cautionary issue. Normally, when we, it's funny you should say this. When I first started the store, I was friends with, and still friends with, who's a sergeant at Bainbridge. And he asked us, hey, we're getting new rifles and they need to be engraved for each car. And I said, oh, I'm happy to help, whatever we can do. So he walked in with a bunch of rifle stocks and magazines. And the ladies at the hair salon saw these officers carrying boxes. And literally, I think it was maybe the third week I was open. And they were like, who in the world is this guy and what is he doing? So there's definitely perfect concerns. A lot of the times, we do have a side door to our building. We're more of a kind of a personal jeweler. We don't have a significant amount of walk-through in that building. But because there are other businesses in that building, a lot of the times when we talk with clients, and my process for that is going to be, let's schedule an appointment. If you can come in certain hours, I don't need you to walk in through the front door. There is the side door, and then there's a side door in my shop as well, especially to prevent any kind of alarm in that scenario. We also have a policy that I'm writing up with not the chief, drawing a blank on.
Chief Rizzo.
Yeah, but it's,
Lieutenant Post?
yes. Is basically saying like how to present these. Clearly, if it's a, you know, a handgun and it can be disassembled, it will be brought in that way. I don't need any, you know, even for my own clients, I don't need any, you know, extra noise when someone walks in. Especially too, if it's not someone that I've talked to, it's the last thing. You know, I care to have some random person that I don't know is coming in for that particular service, walking into my store. Panic buttons are pretty quick in my line of business, you know, in those regards. So fortunately too, I think of having 36 years of experience in this industry, it's not something that, you know, I take lightly in that regard, because I have been involved in holdups, you know, including or involving firearms, and it's, you know, not an easy thing to mentally prepare yourself for. But I feel as though I'm taking a lot of precautions, and again, having communications with all the right people at the police department, as well as, you know, the case manager with the ATF, regarding this.
That's actually a concern I had, thinking because people are bringing in weapons for this. What's to stop someone that wants to rob you? It's your jeweler, you have other and other guns on the property.
Yeah.
Are you going to have like a button under the thing that automatically wires to the police department? So like, what do you have in the event that there is someone that comes in with a loaded gun
As far as,
and wants to rob you?
oh, and wants to rob me, well, I mean, clearly it's a jewelry store, so we have a list of protocol that we go through. I don't necessarily disclose what our procedures are, just for that reason. But again, in 36 years in the industry, I've worked for, 16 different stores, some downtown Cleveland, some are in Atlanta, some are small town mom and pop shops, you know, around the country. There's a slew of things. My employee that I have, there's just the two of us. Every Monday morning, we have sit downs and go over a number of different things. Sorry for poaching. He had just come in the other day, because I had to go a few weeks ago. But we had to adjust some things for my insurance policy. And we basically went through almost a 2-step alarm system procedure, updating new, you know, motion signals, motion sensors. There's 2 sets of cameras that are on different, you know, systems that are already in the building. And then I included a 3rd set of cameras that are totally separate and not on, you know, cloud use.
Are your doors open or are they locked and people have to ring to come?
The front door is open, just the one door. We have bars on the outside windows, so it's, and we really try to check every box. Again, a small little store, and you know, I mean, we get new clients every month, so we're still shocked on how people, you know, are finding us regularly. We're about 55 new clients on average that find us per month, which is great. It's a great feeling to have new people that find you all the time. We really work on building a relationship with the clients. A lot of our clients that are return will reach out to us by text or email or message on Facebook, when are you coming in? So there's a great amount of those that are appointment based, just because there's 2 of us, so we gotta schedule that in. It kind of plays into that as well, for special consultations, which this clearly is, you know, on those lines.
I did have a question for you, Chad.
Please.
In your letter, you mentioned that you would be engraving or modifying firearms. What's the modifications that you have in mind?
That is the modification, based on the ATF, guidelines, anything to a firearm, whether you are changing anything on it, it's engraving modification.
Okay.
So that's really all that it alludes to.
So you're not changing barrels, firing
No,
pins,
no.
slides, anything like that?
I'm not doing any gunsmithing.
Okay.
In actuality, another big reason for, not a big reason, but the secondary side for this license is pure transparency. By accepting either a firearm from a client and or from another local business, you have to have that to be able to exchange that weapon. So I just want to make sure, hey, if you are a gunsmith who we've been in contact with a gunsmith in Montville, and he hand makes custom, firearms from scratch. He would like to put it kind of on his a la carte menu for his higher end, firearms that he makes. Because of that, he's in Montville, I'm here, you have to be able to sign on the ledger that you're accepting or receiving, something from him. So again, it's purely transparency.
Okay.
But no, there's no modification done on our end for that.
Is this is the question I'm sure we'll all get.
Sure.
Is this opening the door to creating a gun shop or a retail shop?
No,
Just-
I have no desire to sell, buy, purchase. I'm not looking at it as even I know that some pawn shops get certain things, but this license has nothing to do with the selling or buying of any firearm, nor do we ever plan on having like ammunition for sale either.
Good.
I've been a jeweler for too long to change things up now.
Dave, the industrial zoning would, if you wanted to manufacture guns, I think you could zoning wise down there. right?
Yes,
But
because
selling a retail gun establishment, is that a permitted use down there?
no, not without your permission.
Well, not just planning commission, but is that like under zoning? Is it?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
I didn't think so either. Not that he's doing that, but.
No.
And Jim, the reason I suggested him come here because it was a change to the business.
Yeah.
And the planning commission approved it.
Yeah, I think it was borderline, but I think that was the right call for sure. But, but with the industrial zoning, he can do gunsmithing down
Yeah.
there.
Is this license transferable?
It's hard to get too, isn't it?
Yeah,
You probably had to go through,
it's fingerprinted,
Yeah.
background check, and there's still so even after tonight, if it's approved and allowed, I still have to wait 3 months on whether or not I'm approved by the ATF. So it's still, like, they check everything.
yeah, no, that's a hard
And the
one to
kicker
get.
too is, I really have no idea if I'll even do one. It's
Are you going to advertise or is it?
no, what? We're gonna get out. We're gonna get out. I've got, when we were doing high-end watch repair, there was a major correlation with our clients where if they had a very expensive watch, most likely they had a very expensive vintage car or a very expensive custom firearm of some sort. Oh man, this would be a cool little thing to do. A lot of engravers, you can do signet rings and you can do this and you can do that. Social media clearly has its downside of weapons as well. But on the artistic side of it, you're really getting into, almost like making a high-end sports car and how are you modifying that? It's looked at in our industry as oh my gosh, look at what you've done. the gun maker that's in Montville. He's like, well, how are you gonna differentiate it? And I said, well, I've got a kind of a scroll that looks like a grapevine type of a scroll design. And I'm gonna try to see if I can put diamonds in there. And he was like, oh my gosh, that would go in a shelf perfectly, right? And I'm like, isn't that the craziest thing, is that it's just gonna sit on some shelf? You know, it's adornment. That's how I look at a lot of different things. We engraved a motorcycle cover. We were working on a couple of air cleaner covers for vintage cars. It's really just how to embellish it. Unfortunately, there is a major negative stigma that involves firearms, clearly. But the fear factor is, you know, something, someone walking in with it, how does that get looked at? Yeah, for sure. But the advertising side, I'm not planning on, there's no billboards. But if I do anything, I know there's an establishment in Chesterland. There's another one that's in Middlefield. If they have a brochure or something at their counter, of just saying, hey, this is who does this, email, contact that way. We'll see how it goes. So.
Chad, wouldn't the gun that you're talking about, on the gun maker in Montville, more likely be in a case
So
rather than like over somebody's shoulder, you know, kind of thing?
I don't even really think, no, honestly, I really don't plan on doing like long guns.
Okay.
For how my system is set up, you know, if it's gonna be a Henry lever action, you know, we might do a hand engraving on that.
Okay.
That's difficult to disassemble. Plus typically the receiver section area is in brass, so that you get a really cool engraving on it. The other ones, you can disassemble them. So I'm not gonna be engraving on a polymer stock or on any type of a barrel thing. There's no area. So technically, a lot of things would be disassembled, but there's certain guidelines as to what constitutes a firearm. A slide on a pistol is not a firearm. The bottom section of the receiver would be. So if it's something that I can ask and say, bring this thing in disassembled, people might not even realize that they're walking in with, you know, a part, you know, as opposed to, you know, something slung over their shoulder in that regards.
Okay.
Any other questions or?
I move that we approve.
Second.
Okay, roll call?
Place,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Coons,
Yes.
Buda.
Yes.
Good luck to you.
Thanks, guys. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Be exciting. Maybe take off.
You'll do all this and do 5 of them. You're like, ah.
Let's do one.
Yes.
Yeah. You'll do more. It's one of those things that where, like I said, the designing aspect of it is it's so difficult. And I am not, I do a significant amount of work on the CAD, and I invite you guys all to come down to the shop. We have tours in the back, and in January, February, we have a Girl Scout troop that comes through. And they, you know, we put hot cocoa on a silver tray, and they come in the back of the shop, and they have little projects. You know, we get their little jewelry making badge and all that stuff, so it's a cool little shop and setup. But the design side of it, it's difficult. And a man in my 50s is not so computer literate. So learning how to design online, I'm like nudging my 14-year-old saying, like, come on, man, you gotta help your old man out here. You know, it'll be interesting. So even with this, I know the license, if I end up getting it, it's for 3 years. So I'm hoping to at least do one in that third year. Yeah, we'll see. So,
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thanks for coming in.
All right, absolutely.
Good night.
All right, have a good night. Thanks.
I can.
Okay. Full business, we still don't have a full board, so we'll get to it someday, Brady. New business, is there, anybody have any new business? Just gonna bring up one thing, the building they redid at Washington and 306, and they put right on the corner, a big LED mess, it's horrifying.
Washington Square.
Yeah, it's just.
That plaza,
So I know I was looking at our code and I know we kind of shut down the one over here, but I was like looking at Chagrin's sign regulations for those type, they have much better wording than us.
That was one of our recommendations.
Yeah.
Change our sign regs in general.
Yeah.
Really.
They just have, I was looking at Chagrin's in particular because number one, they had stuff about it being like that thing is so in the intersection. It's
Right.
crazy to me.
I can't believe that it got approved.
I don't know how that
I'm
happened.
not really sure.
So like Chagrin's has a kind of a nice thing about like just kind of interfering with traffic, and then it's
Right.
got some more, I think more specific, I mean, I don't know, maybe you guys like those LED signs, I hate them, but I mean, or at least the one here. But I definitely think that's something, if I just wanted to see if there was an appetite to go down that road of maybe tightening that up. Unless you think LED signs are a good idea, but, I mean, Chagrin doesn't even allow backlit signs.
I know.
Right.
speaking of which, is that all settled up or the barn lights?
Barn,
Um,
red barn hasn't changed a bit.
So it's still back, the barn's lit too? I mean.
I think so. I haven't looked
I looked at
recently.
the sign.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too, but I didn't wanna be a downer. But it kind of infuriates me that we spent all that time on that, and the guy's just thumbing his nose at us.
Does he have
I don't
any
know.
tenants?
We got an agreement with him to put a pole in his front lawn.
So he lit
And
up
the
his-
agreement was if it's blocking his dry insurance sign, then we have to move the dry insurance sign.
But it's not.
I
blocking.
guess, no, I don't think it's blocking it.
When are the lights gonna start working?
It's a-
Waiting on First Energy,
Yes.
but getting closer, yeah. They'll take the other ones, the street lights out.
So what are we doing about the backlighting of the red barn sign? We're not.
Jim, I don't know, I haven't been by here in the dark to see it. I
Yeah,
haven't
tonight's
any
probably the first
complaints.
time I'll see
If
it.
it's lit up like it's not supposed to be, I'll be glad to send them a letter.
All right.
Not a problem. Nobody's ever come talk to me and said, hey, you know what, the lights. up.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it the last couple times I've been over here,
Is it still?
it was, but I haven't in a while.
It's been so long since I've been.
I'll look at it tonight.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I think it's still backlit. It just irritates me. Because I
We'll check it.
thought we were pretty fair with the guy in the end.
I agree.
I mean, he probably doesn't feel that way, but
Can do.
I feel that way.
Life could have gotten a lot more difficult for him.
Oh, he was in a bad spot.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's still mad at us, but he was in a really bad spot.
Does he have any tenants in there yet? I haven't
I
heard.
see the lease signs are up.
I mean, I'm assuming that a lot of those tenants are gonna have to come in front of us, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They all
His last I heard, he was gonna move his business in there, and he had a high stock person moving with him, and haven't nothing since. The building is still vacant, no occupancy whatsoever, so you'll have to come in front of your board.
Okay.
Does he have an occupancy permit for it?
For that?
Yeah.
Not yet, no.
Okay.
No, we just did the inspections on it, and he complied to the building codes.
Okay.
Most of them. And if any business goes in there, they'll be in front of your board.
Even if he just switches if they physically move.
Yeah.
I don't, it's not a lot of fresh businesses looking for office space.
Not that big. It's a nice building inside, but it's unique. It's different. Doesn't look like an office building.
Our occupancy rate is gotta be near 100% in South Russell. Right?
Mhm.
I mean, there's nothing empty down on, maybe a couple of those condos maybe, but I don't know.
The bank building?
I mean,
What's
On,
gonna happen there, and do we know?
North the bank,
Yeah.
no, they've even switched realtors.
what do they, I think their big issue is there's just no parking. I mean, you can't put, what are you gonna put there?
Mhm.
Bank.
Another bank.
Drive-through coffee.
Yeah, can we get like a JP Morgan investment firm in there? Close one of those. Some income tax money. Anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Yes. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, Freddie, I met with the Bainbridge trustees and Steve Averill was there.